and that's one of the things what we want people to feel when they come down here is that everybody knows each other, because they do. So it's like a little family.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve Stoller.
And I'm Shauna Haley, and this is Inside Plano.
Well, Steve, greetings on a sticky and windy morning
Yeah.
downtown Plano.
It feels kind of nice, actually.
It actually does. I'm impressed because the weather has been a little transitional as we're moving into summer, and summer indeed is on the doorstep. This is our June podcast, and it's a great time to be talking about all the things happening around Plano.
That's right. And we've got so many activities coming up.
Yeah.
This summer.
Summer's
Yeah, it's a
the
fun
best
time.
time.
It's a really fun time, and it's just about getting to the point where we can swim in our pools.
Exactly.
Which is really good.
But right now we're just swimming in the atmosphere because it's so muggy.
Well, our guest today is a good friend who's making a repeat performance. You were with us on January of 2021, and your role has changed since then. Of course, we're talking about Michelle Hawkins, who back then 3 years ago was the city's arts and culture manager, and now you're the downtown manager. So we have some questions about that, Shauna.
Yeah, and part of the reason we brought Michelle on the show today was because last month we talked to Doug McDonald and Peter Braster about all of the development happening around downtown, and not around downtown, around the city in general, but downtown itself kept coming up as a topic over and over in that discussion, and we thought it was a perfect opportunity to bring you on because you are in a new role, and we wanted to dig into that a little more. So let's talk about that title change that Steve alluded to. You're now downtown manager. What does that even mean?
Sure. Thanks for having me again. It's always good to see friends.
Yes.
So downtown manager, the best way to explain it, so I work for Peter.
Okay.
And Doug and Peter work closely together, so I see Doug often. Downtown, Peter describes it as a concierge to downtown. So my job is to know everything about what's happening in downtown. So whether that be city and construction projects, whether it be communicating with the property and business owners, residents, tourists, shoppers, and then and being able to communicate all of that, and anybody who wants to relocate to downtown as well. So
how is that different than your prior role? Because before you had a lot of interface with downtown in your old role. So what's different, and
Sure.
maybe what have you retained?
Yeah, so it did have a little bit of overlap because a lot of our festivals that we hold, our big festivals, happen in downtown. I don't have to do the big festivals anymore, but I do try to work with the synergy with the business owners and property owners along with those festivals. So hopefully you've seen that more connected through the past year and a half or 2 years. So I did have to work with business owners in the Downtown Association in my last position. So it was a good move in the fact that I already knew a lot of these, a lot of the stakeholders from doing those. Now it's more about marketing the businesses, marketing the downtown district as a whole instead of marketing events, and bringing new people to our district.
Michelle, why did the city decide that now was the time to add a downtown manager?
I think it was perfect timing. Other historic downtowns have either a Main Street manager or a downtown manager, and we didn't have one. The Downtown Association had its own executive director, and then when COVID hit, he ended up in another position. So whenever he ended up in another position, and downtown was trying to figure out what's the better way to improve and come back out of COVID, the city also wanted to improve communication with our downtown because there seemed to be some frustration there. And so they thought, well, maybe now's the time to have a city-staffed downtown manager.
How is downtown different than other shopping and dining areas around the city?
We have such great districts here in Plano with, and they're all shiny and new. But what downtown has over anybody else is we are where Plano started. We have the history. We can go through and talk about what happened down here, which businesses were down here, which buildings, the architecture. So I think that's something that you don't have the story in the community like you do in other districts.
So, talk to us a little bit about how you actually work with the downtown merchants. Are you in and out of their businesses? What happens?
All of it. So I'm in constant communication. They have my cell phone number, so I'm easily accessible. But we also do monthly meetings in person. I send out monthly email communications of just what's happening in the district, what to look out for. The Downtown Public Improvement District, which is property owners, we meet monthly also. And then if there's anything that we need to have additional meetings for, like we have another event coming up, like if we're going to bring back Night Out, then we have individual meetings about those too. And then I walk the district. I try to walk the district depending on weather at least once a week to find what needs to be repaired. And then I stop in and talk to whoever is around.
So we're sitting on stage at McCall Plaza, and this stage has been here for a good decade. But tell us what's new and different in the midst of all of the old. We know we have a lot of new businesses. We have some new buildings.
Sure.
What's here and what's changed?
So some new businesses that are opening are going to be right south of here in the Murata space. Voodoo Brewing already opened. Ramen Belly's getting really close. Corvo Martial Arts just opened, and the 1020 Art Gallery is going to be opening soon too. So that was the pop-up gallery that happened on the historic 15th Street. Is coming back and is going to be over in that space. So be on the lookout for that. That'll feature a lot of our local artists. And then we also have, you guys have probably seen it, it's right west of City Hall. Preston's Cafe should be opening in the next few weeks too.
Yeah, I did notice that. I was excited about it. It seems like we have a really interesting mix. I know this isn't one of our preset questions, but you have beauty salons, barbers, restaurants, bars, professional, their lawyers' offices. It's a really interesting mix of uses.
And there's a good
downtown.
vibe too.
Yeah.
I mean, downtown just has a different vibe to it. It's like a little village.
It
You know, and-
definitely feels like, and that's one of the things that we want people to feel when they come down here is that everybody knows each other, because they do. So
Well, what
it's
are
like
some-
a little family.
Yeah.
Michelle, what are some of the biggest opportunities that are ahead for downtown Plano?
The biggest opportunities, as you guys know, maybe people listening to this don't know, but the Silver Line Station is going to be going in just south of here. So if you would have asked me 10, 15 years ago which way I thought downtown might grow, I would have said north. But now with DART Station going in just south of here, I think it's going to be moving south. So some of those big industrial lots, I believe, are going to get broken up. You're going to see a lot more mixed use, a lot more bars and restaurants and retail.
And there is
So-
some coming, yes?
Yes,
Isn't there a
there's
pickleball?
Yep, off of 13th Street.
Okay.
It's going to be another apartment complex, but then it's also going to have pickleball courts that you can come and pay to use, and it's going to have a bar associated with it.
So you've mentioned some of these things, but what does a successful downtown Plano look like?
In my head, I think when all my girlfriends are sitting around and saying, what's a girl's day out? Like, let's go spend the day somewhere. I want them to think of downtown. Like, we can just go down there and we're going to figure it out once we get down there. Like, we can stop and eat and shop all day long. So that's what I think, and not just women, that's just my example. But just like, hey, let's go out, let's go to downtown and figure out what we're going to do. So that's what I think a successful downtown would look like.
Well, if I was going to just head downtown, there's plenty of places to park, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
I know that that's always everybody's perception, but think about any historic downtown in any other city. That's what everybody thinks. But we have Texas Forever Fest in Dickens that happens down here, and 20,000 people park somewhere.
Yes,
So
that's true. That's true. And unless people are watching the podcast, of course, we have the video version. It's 10:45 in the morning when we're recording this, and there's just a ton going on. I've out of the corner of my eye, I've watched people walk up and down. That whole idea of there is something to do, and people come down here and hang out. I mean, you mentioned it. It is a community, and it very much feels like that. I mean, so you mentioned this is historic. This is where it all started. There are a lot of towns that have a historic and where it all started. So what is it that makes us unique, in your opinion? Like, why Plano? Why our downtown?
Well, and you mentioned that there's a lot of historic downtowns and they have their history too, but when you go into these spaces, you're going to see the business owner or the property owner, and a lot of people know them by names, and they're friends with the people that come down here. There's businesses that have been down here for generations, like the Shell building right behind us, or Connor Chaddock's building where Cocoa Beach is. His family has owned that since the early 1900s. So I think that we still have this small knit community of business owners that are here. I think whenever you go to some historic districts, that's the business owners and property owners you might not ever see them. They may not even live in Texas, and a lot of ours are here and are invested, including the property owners, because they're very much invested in their downtown.
Oh, that makes it exciting. So what would you want people to know about Downtown Plano? You had to leave a final word for our listeners.
There's lots of activity that always is happening here. Just come down and you'll find something to do. There's a comedy scene. If you guys know this one, there's a comedy scene that's breaking out down here.
No, tell us more.
So Cowabunga comedians do, it's about once a month maybe-ish over at Fillmore Pub. So just visit Downtown Plano website, or our Facebook and Instagram is Downtown Plano. So they'll have comedy night over there. It's about once a month. But then Bebop comedy night, it's an open mic night for new comedians that happens every Tuesday at Vickery. So there's a lot of synergy. McNeil's will host a comedy night every now and then. So I think that's kind of cool that people don't know about. I think that do you guys know this one? Vickery Park on Friday nights, they have off-menu specials that come out at 5 p.m. and there's a whole following of people that get there and they're just waiting to see what it is and try it.
No.
And so,
the one
every Friday.
That now I'm going to start following that. So it's I know we have a James Beard, finalist, in downtown.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. And I got to tell you, we office downtown at the Municipal Center. We love Downtown Plano. And I remember when I was a reporter, I used to come here 25, 30 years ago to do stories. And it was a lot of antique shops. And I used to always imagine what it would be like. I used to always say to myself, gosh, if they only had some restaurants, maybe a pub, a bar, this would be such a hopping place. And it came to fruition. And it's so cool to see what Downtown Plano has grown into. I mean, it is a great spot.
And continuing to evolve.
Yeah, it is just a wonderful place, and we're so proud to have such a great downtown area in our city.
Well, the Plano residents in the city support it so heavily, so that's I credit it a lot to that.
Yeah, and it's funny, the DART train just went by. That's one of the things that brought people in.
Exactly.
And it aided to the development of downtown.
Yeah, instrumental in it.
So thank you so much, Michelle. It's good seeing you again, and thanks for being on our podcast.
Guys.
And thanks for all you do for downtown. This is really a special place. I think it's something that sets the city apart. In all of our mini shopping districts, this is one that people will definitely want to check out and spend some time in. So thanks for joining us again. We'll try to not wait as many years to have you come back.
Yes, definitely.
Well, Steve, it's another great day, and it's a big day of DART traveling by. So maybe we'll need to do a transit update before too long, because it is a busy time in the city of Plano. But thank you all again. If you have questions or if there are things you want us to update on, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. And until then, we'll talk to you next month. Thanks
Bye,
again.
Charlotte. Thank you.
And that's it for our Inside Plano. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did doing it.
If you have any comments or suggestions, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Bye!
Talk to you next month. The Inside Plano podcast is brought to you by the City of Plano.